General Motors on Safari. True-life adventure stories of the African bushveld. Sponsored by General Motors South Africa. The first real attempt to bring to a South African radio audience authentic African stories. The series lasted for almost 4 very successful years, and was broadcast on Friday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Most of the wildlife sound effects were actual sounds recorded in the wilds of Africa by Timothy Bungie.
On Safari. Here is adventure. Excitement. And danger. Bringing you the African bushveld of today and yesterday in dramatized fact, fiction, and true-life documentary. General Motors on Safari.
The story I'm going to tell you tonight is not, in the strict sense, one of safari. One can't always be in the realm of big game. And sometimes I think it's good to come home, to rest one's weary feet from that last long trek into the bush. So, tonight, it is of a domestic animal that I'm going to tell you. Man's best friend. Yes, the dog. But in this instance, one of the central characters wasn't a man. He was a boy of 10 years old. A young boy who lived with his parents on a farm out on the veldt near Cape Town. It was during the years that followed the First World War that Stuart Clutie, the world-famous author, was searching for material far away from our great cities. He was looking for true stories that typify this vast country we live in. Stories that are so often never told, never heard of, yet simple, humble stories. I'm most grateful to him for allowing me to base this tale tonight on facts that were given to him by an old Boer farmer. Here it is then, one I have called A Boy and His Dog.
You ask me if I have any stories? Yeah, I have many. Many that I can tell you of the days gone by. But now I'm getting old. I don't remember so well. I remember one story. The story of a boy. He didn't live so far from here. He was only 10. He lived with his parents, Jan and Marie Swart. Fine couple they were. They're dead now. So is Japie. He was the boy who was killed in the last war. Oh, how I hate wars. They do no good for anybody. Japie's dead now. Died in the desert. I wonder if he was lonely. Somehow, I don't think so. He'd learned that time, nearly 25 years ago, what it meant to be lonely. Yeah, he was a brave boy. I think it was in 1930. Perhaps it was 31. I don't remember so well. I walked over from this very farm here to the Swarts' place, about 6 miles away. As I came over the hill above their farm, I noticed a big black motor car standing in the yard.
I'm old enough, Ma.
Of course he's old enough.
He's only 10, Jan. And I'm not afraid. That's just it. It makes me afraid that you are not afraid. That you are afraid of nothing.
It's his blood. He has bold blood from both sides.
Yeah, Jan. And look where our boldness has got us. Because of it, you lie crippled on a bed in the kitchen, waiting for a doctor to take you away to Kaapstad.
I shall get well. The doctor has promised it. Besides, how could I refuse to ride the horse? If there'd been no rain, he wouldn't have slipped and fallen on me.
I have Moscow. He's a fine dog, and he's my friend. And I have the gun.
The car's ready, Jan.
I never heard it come.
It's a new one. It moves very quietly.
We'll come just now, Doctor.
Oh, hello, Doctor. Is there any trouble?
Oh, hello, Herman. Yes, you could give me a hand with Jan. Come out to the car. I'll tell you all about it.
You have the gun, Yarby?
Yeah, Pa. I have the gun.
It's old, but it shoots well. And you have the dog?
Yeah, Pa.
And your blood. The blood that shows no fear.
Ah, that darned blood that has been the death of so many.
And the glory. The blood of the Swarts and the De Vets. A good cross. Yeah. A good mixture like Moscow.
Well, Jan, you're a fine one. If you're ready, we'll take you now, man.
Yeah, I'm ready. Now, go easy with me. It hurts my side.
We'll be careful, Jan.
It
We'll be
hurts.
careful. You take his head, Doctor. I've got his feet.
They say they're going to have to operate.
Ah, forget it, man. You'll soon be as fit as a fiddle and back on your farm. Now, up you come. Come on, kid.
Bring some cushions and blankets.
Steady on.
Fetch them, Yappy. No.
There we are. We'll soon have you in your car, Jan. Now then, carefully through the door. That's it. There we are.
Prop yourself in this corner, Jan.
Thank you, Doctor. Whew. That was quite an effort.
Here comes Yappy with the cushions and blankets. Here, Pa.
Thank you, son.
Let's put them round you, Jan.
Let me tuck them in this side, Jan.
Anybody would think I was a hothouse plant.
You've got to keep warm and comfortable. If you don't want anything happening to you on the way, that'd never do.
You mean you'd have nothing to cut out if I did?
Ah, Jan, you mustn't talk like that.
Get in, Mevrouw.
Tot ziens, Ma. Come back soon. Tot ziens, Yappy.
Do not fear for me. I cannot die. I can only be killed. It's not reasonable to think that I shall be the first of my race to die in bed like a woman. No. When I go to the good God, I shall go like a man in my fell schooner.
It's time that you Swats learned other ways to die. Doctor, I did not mean that.
That's quite all right.
You're a self-willed man, Jan Swat. I expect you'll die as you want.
Fear nothing, Yappy. When I was a small son, I too was left alone on a farm, and I held it safe. Why, when I was your age, I'd killed 2 lions. And your Opa, my father, he was in the Kaffir Wars when he was only a year older than you. Fear nothing, and do what your heart prompts, for through it courses the wild blood of your people.
I shall fear nothing, Pa. Come here, son. Be good. And take care of yourself.
Oh, Doc. It's a fine thing when laughter hurts a man.
Oh, we'll soon put that right. Well, we must be off. We've a long way to go.
Be careful, Yappy. I will, Ma. Don't cry. Tot ziens. Tot ziens, Pa.
Yeah, I remember that evening well. I turned and walked off, up the face of the hill, the pink heath closing in about my knees as I climbed. On the crest, I looked back and waved to him. He looked a lonely little figure, standing there with Moscow beside him. Now he was really alone. I remember Moscow pushed his head into his hand. Yeah, Moscow, I've not told you about him. He was yellow all over, a pale golden chestnut, lemon as it's called, with a thick, smooth coat and eyes like yellow, black-scented agates. Yeah, Moscow was in his prime, 4 years old, only 6 years younger than the boy standing beside him. As I moved out of sight over the hill, it seemed as if he knew his responsibility, as if he knew they were alone on the farm, the sole protectors of the homestead and the stock. Slowly he came nearer to the boy, his great shoulders rubbing against his thigh.
We're all alone now, Moscow. I'm not really afraid, but I feel a little uncertain. You're not afraid, are you, Moscow? I am. Just a little. It's so Lonely here, all alone. Well, I'm not alone. I've got you. I was alone with Mother once when Father went looking for that lost heifer, but never quite as alone as this.
Fear nothing, Yapi. Fear nothing. And do what your heart prompts you. For through it courses the blood of your people.
I shall fear nothing, Pa. I shall fear nothing, only for you. Oh, Ma, I can hear you now telling me how you met Pa. You've told me so many times.
Yeah, Yabi. He used to come courting me on a strong wild horse he was breaking in. My heart used to flutter like a bird in my breast whenever I saw this great bearded man on a big wild horse. At first I did not want to marry him. He was so wild, like the horses he rode. And then when my brother, your uncle, died, the farm became mine.
And now it's all in my hands. All the stock, all that you and Pa have worked for. Now, till you come back, I'm master of all this. Oh, Moscow, I'm frightened. So frightened. Please, God, make me a good boy. And you won't let me fail Ma and Pa, will you? Oh, and you will make Pa well soon, won't you?
Yeah, that boy had plenty of courage. His work he knew, all of it. Feeding, milking, herding and weeding. There was no work he couldn't do, save the heaviest. And that wasn't because of lack of knowledge, but because of lack of strength. All of it he'd done many times before, but never with no one to talk about it. He told me the first thing he noticed was when he found that the black hen sitting in a barrel had hatched 10 chicks. And he'd put her in the barn and given her water and mealies and breadcrumbs. There was no one to whom he could say,
The black hen has 10 chicks, and I put her in the barn and watered and fed them.
Mind you, he did tell Moscow, and he had wagged his yellow tail and smiled up at him with open jaws. But somehow it wasn't quite the same. The first day he grew up a lot. The following evening, I went over to see him. Hello, Yabi. Are you all right?
I'm all right, thank you, Uncle Herman.
Ah, that's good.
Will you come in and have some coffee?
Donkey, I will. My, but you're becoming a real young farmer now, eh? Hello, Moscow. How are you? Looking after your master?
Yeah, he is, Uncle. Yeah, the coffee's ready now. You do have sugar, don't you, Uncle?
Yeah, please.
Everything is done on the farm.
Uh-huh.
Today I've done a man's work. I'm a boy no longer now, Uncle.
Yeah, that's right, Yabi. You're growing up, man. I've had news from the door. A man passed, man Pitfuri, with a message from your pa.
My pa? Is he well?
Yeah, he's well. It's all over. They cut something in him, but it's not as serious as they thought.
When are they coming?
That is the message. They will be here on Tuesday, if God is willing.
I will pray that all goes well. I've prayed it every night and every morning since they went away. But now I will pray more strongly. Dear God, let nothing happen. Let them come back soon.
They'll be back soon, never you fear. Today is Saturday.
Yeah.
There is Sunday and Monday, and then they'll be here.
Yeah. The day after tomorrow, I'll be able to say tomorrow.
He looked lonely as I rode away, but perhaps not quite so lonely. He had that thought in his mind. They'd be back soon. No news came the next day, but I called in to see how the boy was getting on. It was Sunday, but still a working day on the farm. When I arrived, he was reading the Gospel of St. John just at the place where his father had left off. Each Sunday, he read a chapter aloud, reading the Bible through from end to end. In it also were the names of his relations and the dates of their birthdays. His mother's, he noticed, was on Tuesday, September 12th. He couldn't leave the farm to buy her anything, but had instead picked some violets that were in bloom beneath the pomegranate trees. On the Monday morning, I rode over to see him again. He was standing, waiting for me, Moscow at his side.
Here's Uncle Herman, Moscow. He's coming fast, too. Is it more news, do you think? Yeah, news, good or bad. That's what Uncle said.
Good morning, Yabi.
Good morning, Uncle. Have you brought some news for me?
Yeah. Yeah, Yappy, but it's not good news.
Is Father...
No, it's nothing serious. He's very well. But the doctors think he'd better remain a little longer under their care.
When will he be home, Uncle?
Not until Thursday.
Thursday? Another 3 days. Oh, well, 3 days will pass quickly, but I'm sad. My mother, she won't be back for her birthday, and her violets won't last.
You can always pick some more, Yappy.
Yeah, there were plenty of buds. I'll do that.
This time, as I rode away, I noticed that he didn't seem so lonely anymore. A little sad, perhaps, but not lonely. He was getting used to it, you see. I nearly suggested staying with him for the night. After all, he was only 10. But then I thought he would not like that. Now I wish I had. For that night, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. Moscow began to growl and then to bark.
Moscow? What is it, boy? Wait until I light the candle. There. Now, what is it? Is there someone outside? Well, here's the gun. Oh, it's heavy. Let me put on my slippers. There doesn't seem to be anything here. Let's leave it until morning, Moscow, don't you think? Come on now, let's go back to bed. We'll see if it was anything in the morning. Well, there doesn't seem to have been anything, Moscow. You must have been dreaming. Let's have a look in the sheep kraal. Hey, what's that? One of the ewes is dead. Quick, Moscow. There's no mark, no blood. Perhaps she died of illness. But she was all right last night. Moscow, what is it, boy? What is it? What is it? So, a spoor. A big, round-cut spoor. Nearly 3 inches across. Is it what I think it is, Moscow? Yeah. It's a ruikat, a big one at that. Yeah, that's it. Look at these 2 teeth marks on her neck. Come, we'll go and get the gun, Moscow. Then we must make a plan, but I don't know what we should do. Oh, what would Pa do? He would go after him. Yeah, that's right. That's what we'll do, Moscow. We'll search him out and kill him before he kills any more of our sheep. Moscow! Moscow! Not so fast! You go too fast for me! That's right. Wait for me. Oh, so you've lost the scent. That comes of going too fast. He must be somewhere. You're on to him. In that heavy mood bush. You've treed him. I'm coming. Look out, Moscow. He'll get away. After him, boy, after him. Ha! He seems to know I can shoot him down from a tree. All right, I'll catch up with you. You keep on to him. He's making for that cave at the side of the hill. Ha! Oh, he's got him.
Yeah, they got him all right. But a lynx is a dangerous animal when it's cornered. Moscow stood at the entrance, barking furiously and looking back every now and again at Yappy as he was climbing. The cave gave onto a ledge, and as Yappy reached it, he could see the lynx glaring at him. Its great yellow eyes were narrowed slits, and its lips were drawn back over its bared fangs. Body was flat on the ground, its short tail raised, and its black tufted hairs were laid back against its neck.
I'm not afraid, Father. I'm not afraid. Now, steady aim. Squeeze the trigger slowly. The gun won't go off, Moscow. He's got my arm, Moscow, my arm. Hold him, Moscow. Hold him while I get my knife.
As the lynx had jumped at Yapi, Moscow had sprung at it. The lynx turned away from Yapi as he stabbed it in the side and swung back on the dog. As it turned, Yapi passed his hand over its back and drove the hunting knife in behind its shoulder blade. Dropping him completely, the lynx fell on its back and, reaching upwards, seized Moscow by the throat from below. The hound and the lynx became an indistinguishable blur of red fur and yellow skin, a spitting, snarling, growling, gory mess. Suddenly, Moscow shook himself free and stood over the lynx, his ruff covered with thick, dark blood. It was dead now, and for a moment the hound stood over him, and then he staggered and fell. Half-skinned alive, the great muscles of his side exposed, one cheek torn out. He lay and turning his golden eyes to Yapi. He died. His eyes never closed. They simply lost expression and blazed slowly as death came to him. Yeah, the dog had died, but Yapi might live. The boy looked at his arm. It was badly torn and bleeding. He went slowly home, his arm in a rough sling torn from his shirt. At the house, he took a brandy bottle from the cupboard and drank half a cup. He'd never tasted brandy before, and it burnt him, but it made him feel better. Then, taking a horse, he went and collected the lynx and Moscow. He dragged the lynx on his return into the barn beside the sheep he had killed. But the grave for Moscow was another matter. It was hard to dig with one hand. When it finished it, it was not a proper grave. It was more a scraping in the black ground that ended when he had dragged Moscow into it as a mound beside the violet bed. That had been the only place to bury him. There he would be remembered and safe. Then the young boy went to bed. He did not undress. He just took off his feldschoons and dropped onto his father's bed. Until tomorrow, everything must take care of itself. He had done what he could, and he could do no more. He was still there when his father returned the following morning, earlier than the doctors had said.
Yapi, wake up, my son.
Oh, Pa, you're back already? Uncle Herman said he thought...
Yeah, they let me out. I'm all right now.
What happened, Yapi?
Nothing. The cat scratched me.
The cat?
Yeah. The Ruikot. We killed it. But all is well but one sheep. He killed the sheep, Pa.
And Moscow?
Moscow is dead. I buried him. I buried him by the violets under the pomegranate tree.
A brave dog. A very brave dog.
A brave boy.
Yes, a simple but a wonderful story, I think. That boy, as he lay dying in the desert, in a shallow depression scooped out of the sand, wasn't frightened then. Of that I'm quite sure. What was it his father had said so many years before? Fear nothing, Yapi. Fear nothing, and do what your heart prompts you, for through it courses the wild blood of your people.
Join us again next week for another story of the African bushveld. It might be fact, it might be fiction in General Motors on Safari. Brought to you by General Motors South African, manufacturers of Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Chevrolet, Beaumont, Vauxhall, Opel, Holden, Bedford, and GMC motor vehicles.
General Motors on Safari. Here is adventure. excitement. And danger. General Motors and their dealer organization throughout southern Africa are proud to present another program in their current series, bringing you the African bushveld of today and yesterday in dramatized fact, fiction, and true life documentary. General Motors on Safari.
There are a great many stories told of the relationships between twin brothers and sisters. Many of them are make-believe, tales told for eerie effect, but some of them are true. For instance, I knew a man in the last war who said he felt very strongly that his sister, born within a few minutes of himself, was in great danger. A short while later he said to me, "It's all over with her." By then I'd forgotten his first remark. I asked him what he meant, and he replied, "Joan, she's dead." He'd already said to me that his family was in London, so how, I reasoned, could he know anything about his sister? We were in North Africa. There had been no post for at least a month. When the post did come, it carried a letter from his mother. The sister, Joan, had died in an air raid on the city. He was by then quite prepared for the news. His twin sister had died on the day he had feared for her life. He must have communicated his knowledge to me almost as the bombs fell on London. This is not just an isolated story. There are many similar. Twins often share a kind of extra sense. I've never thought to talk to a medical man about it, or I suppose a psychiatrist would be the chap who'd know. I was thinking of the man who lost his sister in the London raid a while ago, and it put me in mind of another story told to me a number of years before the war. This story concerned two brothers, twin brothers, who lived in the eastern Transvaal, Marius and Johan Eben. These two brothers, never great friends during Johan's lifetime, were held by a terrifying bond which stretched beyond the grave. My story tonight is called Appassionata. There were no lights burning in the large voorkamer of the old homestead. The moonlight, though, streamed through the windows, falling on the enameled bust of Beethoven on the mantelpiece, and upon Marius Eben and the grand piano at which he sat. Marius was a fine pianist. The old folks, when they'd been alive, had talked of sending the boy to Europe. The predicant had said, "He has talent, that one, the thin one." The thin one. That is how they talked of him always. The thin one, or the more delicate one, or the weaker one. Marius had always, despite his talent, walked in his brother Johan's shadow. Johan had ruled him always. In a land where physical strength was respected above all else, Marius had suffered, had always been acutely aware of Johan's dominance. Marius, do this. Marius, do that. When Johan had wanted something, he took it. Especially a woman. Evelina. Marius's woman. The one he had wished to marry. But now Evelina would marry no one. She was dead, like Johan. Johan who had ruled his twin in life. Johan who was still the ruler from beyond the grave.
Johann, please.
Johann, please. Marius, you shouldn't have done it, Marius. Kula was always a good boy. He always worked hard. He was always honest.
They deserved it. I'd do it again.
You flogged him too hard, Marius. A man should never draw blood in anger. That was bad. Very bad, Marius.
He was insolent.
Poor Marius. Never mind, Marius. Not much longer. Not much longer to hate being you.
Stop it!
Since the buffalo in Rhodesia had killed Johann a year before, he had often spoken to his brother. He had warned him of dangers, admonished him for his bad conduct. 2 days before, Marius had flogged Kula, the Zulu herd boy, for allowing the cattle to stray and then denying that it was his fault when Marius Eben had yelled at him. And that night, the voices had started again. The voices. And every voice belonged to his brother Johann. And this night, the night he had played at the piano with such intensity, the voice of Johann had ceased to scold him for the beating he had given the Zulu. Instead,
I have to tell you something, Marius. I think you should... You are going to die tonight. Die tonight, Marius. Think of that. We'll be together again. You, me, Evelina.
Evelina.
Oh, she was so beautiful, wasn't she, Marius? So very beautiful.
Beautiful. Yes. Yes, she was beautiful. But she was worth nothing. I remember her beauty, Evelina. But she was trash. Trash. That's what Evelina was. Trash.
Johann. Johann.
Have you told him yet?
Told him?
Yes, you ought to tell him.
I can't.
But you must.
I'm afraid to.
Afraid? You can't be afraid of Marius. No one's afraid of Marius. It's simple. Look, just say, Marius, I no longer love you. I love Johann, and I'm going to marry him. And we're going away from the farm for a while, and then we're coming back again. And you must please yourself whether you stay here or not. There. That's all you must say to Marius.
I never really loved him. I thought I did. That's all.
Of course you never loved him.
But I'm afraid of him somehow. Sometimes, especially when he's at the piano. Of course he plays well. The predicant. I mean, But he frightens me. He sits and his eyes. There's something bad in his eyes. Wild, as if... Sometimes as if there's someone under those keys. So hard he hits them.
Tell him tonight. And then we'll go and see the predicant. Oh, Evelina, I love you.
And me, I love you too.
Then don't let my brother stand in our way.
No. I love you. And no one's going to stand in our way.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it had been. A week later, the two of them, hand in hand, had stood before the predicant, and he had counseled them, and they were happy. Another week, and Johann left for Rhodesia. A few days, he had said, that's all. But the few days turned into forever. And a rogue bull buffalo robbed the girl of her husband and the pianist of her brother, and began perhaps a train of events that was to end in a treble tragedy. If Alina had not believed in Johann's death at first, she would not accept it. She waited for Johann, swearing he would one evening canter into the big yard, dismount from his horse, and within seconds be in her arms. At last she was forced to accept a fact she was unable to accept. And so Evelina left the farm. A neighbor found her body 4 days later, in the big dam, and the land was said to be cursed. Marius had accepted his brother's death and the death of his woman with no emotion. He had played the piano, neglected the farm work, and played the piano day after day. Emotion died in Marius. And then the voice had spoken to him.
Marius, you have work to do, Marius.
Let me be, Johann, let me be.
Marius, for years we worked this land, our family. Don't let it spoil now. Tell Kula. The herd, Marius, the herd strays. The herd, Marius. We'll lose the herd to lion if you neglect your duty, little brother.
Little brother. Always little brother. Let me be, Johann.
Sometimes it was as if the man at the grand piano, playing to no one but himself in the shadows, wished to kill something within the piano. His fingers murdered the keys. And then there came the night when Johanna told him he would die. Johann, who had always known everything when he was alive, and now it seemed was in receipt of some greater knowledge, even though he was dead.
Tonight, Marius, you are going to die tonight.
Tonight. No. No one will die, Johann. No one. There have been too many deaths here. No more now. It's ended. The bad luck has ended. Ended with me. From now on, good luck. Nothing else. Just good luck. Tonight I'll play all night long. I'll play everything I know.
Marius stopped and looked at the great black piano. 150 years old, they had said it was. Brought from Holland. He reached for the lid to free the keyboard and then froze. Someone was with him in that room. He felt them. Someone was standing behind him. He could hear them breathing. They were there. His forehead was wet with sweat. It began to run rivers down his nose, into the lashes of his eyes, forging small glistening canyons through the desert of his cheeks. It was a long time before he was able to turn around.
Kula, what are you doing here? What do you want? Can't you knock?
I knocked, Nkosi, but you did not hear me.
Well,
so I answered.
What's the matter? Come on, man. Talk, speak up.
Lion, Nkosi.
Lion?
He prowls near the kraal.
Have you seen him?
With these two eyes, I've seen him. The moon is bright and all things are clear to the eye. You must kill him, Nkosi.
Tonight, Marius, tonight you will die.
Lion? Lost a lot of cattle. This is the one, eh?
This is the one, Nkosi.
What are you grinning at?
Grin, Nkosi.
Fetch my rifle.
This way, Nkosi.
He came from north side, eh?
The line will come from that side. Listen to the cattle, Nkosi. They know the line is near.
They crept along the circular wall of the kraal. Kula took hold of Marius's arm.
This is the best place to wait for him. We shall wait in this place.
Yes, we'll wait in this place.
They lay in the deeper shadow of the kraal wall and waited. The white man checked and rechecked the heavy rifle. The night was sharp, clear. A good night for hunting. A good night for killing lion. The white man was afraid. He knew there was little enough to be afraid of. At one thing he had matched his brother Johann. That was his expertise with a rifle. He had killed many lion. He would kill a lion now. There was a cartridge in the breech, or was there? Marius checked again, just to be certain. He fancied he saw the black man smile slightly in the moonlight. He glanced sharply at him. But Kula's face was expressionless. And then he saw the little wounds on the black shining back. For a moment, Marius Eben believed he would faint. Momentarily, he felt a pang of pity, grief almost at what he had inflicted. And then his mouth hardened again. He pressed his lips tightly together and stared out into the darkness. A lion could be silent as a cat. A cloud passed across the moon's face. 30 minutes elapsed.
Tonight, Marius. Die.
Inkosi.
What?
Nothing.
Marius was afraid, deeply afraid. But he would not allow the black man to know. Kula would tell the tale amongst the other herd boys. They would laugh at him, Marius Eben. Not a good thing to show fear in this country. Not in front of a herd boy.
Come on! What's the matter, Marius?
A question I was going to ask you.
Were you?
Yes. Let's sit.
No.
Something's the matter. Let's go back. I'll play for you. Don't you want me to play for you?
I love it when you play the piano. So does Johan.
Well, then let's...
Marius, forgive me.
Forgive?
Something... Oh, please don't make it hard for me.
What is it?
Marius, I'm sorry. I don't love you. Marius, please don't look like that, please.
Why?
Why?
Yes, why?
Well, because... Marius, I don't love you. I love someone else. I'm sorry. I tried to tell you this morning. Yesterday even.
Someone else?
Johan and me, we want to be married. Oh, say you don't mind, Marius. Say it. Oh, please say it. I don't want to hurt you. Johan doesn't want to hurt you. This is a thing that neither of us, we didn't know it would happen. It just happened, you see. Just... I didn't want to say anything, but Johan, he said he would tell you, and I didn't want that. It wasn't right. You understand, Marius?
I understand.
Oh, thank you, Marius. Oh, Marius, you're a dear, kind man. We're both so fond of you. Fond of you. Johan's so proud of his brother. Your piano playing, your shooting. I love you, too, you see, but not in that way. Not in the way that I can only love Johan that way.
Only love Johan that way.
The line comes in Inkosi.
The black man knew that there were 2 lions. Knew it well, but he spoke of lion. Why was that? Only he knew. Marius didn't know. The white man took a tighter grip of his rifle. He checked it yet again. The cartridge was there, comfortingly, safely. He had killed many a lion.
I've killed many a lion, Kula.
Yes, Inkosi.
Again the smile. Or was it a smile? Bright moon again now. The whiplashes, bright as the moon. The flesh angry. The flesh like a... what? A warning?
This is it. Now you'll see how right Johannes was. You leave me be for always now, Johan. I'll kill this lion, and I'll kill you too. Your voice.
And the lion emerged from the bush.
Now we shall see.
Tonight, Marius. Tonight you will die.
No.
Inkosi.
Not tonight. Not for many nights.
Rifle up. Sighted.
He's turned. He'll come again.
The wind was right for the men. The lion couldn't know they were there. It was all right. He would come again very soon. Hidden by bushes and small trees now, padding, testing the night air, tail switching to and fro relentlessly. A big lion, a fine lion. Close, but they couldn't see him. The white man's hands not steady on the gun, not steady. For a brief moment he closed tight his eyes, tighter, and then opened them again. For a moment the night seemed to explode with a million stars, and then all was as it should be once more. Marius felt cold for the first time since leaving the house. He had sweated greatly. Now the night caressed his damp skin.
What if I miss? No, I'll never miss. Impossible that I should miss. The chest, left side. If I miss the heart, I'll shatter the shoulder bone. Safer that way.
No lion for the moment. He was there, though, somewhere. Would come any second. The white man lowered the sights, hands still shaking, sweating again, sweat into his eyes almost angrily. He blinked it out, teeth clenched. Anger now.
What's the matter with you? Miss now, and you're a dead man.
And again the lion came, walking straight towards them this time. The moonlight made the beast appear more ferocious than any lion should appear. Marius braced his shaking body. Now, he thought. Now or never. Stockov rifle wet with sweat.
Why are you waiting so long in Corsi?
The shoulder was shattered. The animal fell. It rose again. The great head turned and shook in anger and disbelief. It began to charge and then stopped and turned again, not knowing where the pain had flown from. It would never know from where the pain had come. Headshot. Lion killed. Marius even dropped the rifle. He shook with fear and relief at having vanquished fear, and the paradox almost forced him to throw himself into the damp earth and bush at his feet, to lie in the coolness, to never speak, never listen to anything or anyone again. But he walked slowly to the big dead cat.
No, Johan. You see, Johan, you were wrong. See what I mean? I'm a dead shot, Johan. I always was. Tonight, when I get back, I'm going to drink and play and drink and play all the rest of the night. I've killed you too, Johan. Killed you. Johan is wrong. Johan is wrong. You're a liar, Johan. A liar. Do you hear me?
The assegai sped towards the white man. Its flight was true, and the blade went straight through the body. Marius made absolutely no sound at all. For a moment his eyes turned frantically upwards. The mouth fell open as if to protest, and then he fell, not knowing from where his death had come. Kula retrieved his assegai, and for a moment looked at the body of the former whip-wielder.
You will not be lonely in Corsi. The other line comes. I feel that she comes now. She's the mate of the one you have slain. Oh, in Corsi, you will not be lonely. She will keep you company.
And Kula turned and ran silently away.
Join us again next week for another story of the African bushveld. It might be fact, it might be fiction in General Motors on Safari. Brought to you by General Motors South African, manufacturers of Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Chevrolet, Beaumont, Vauxhall, Opel, Holden, Bedford, and GMC motor vehicles.
General Motors on Safari. Here is adventure. Excitement. And danger. Bringing you the African bushveld of today and yesterday in dramatized fact, fiction, and true-life documentary. General Motors on Safari.
The game steadily disappears from Africa, and some reckon that our grandchildren will see nothing wild outside the zoological gardens. The Martini Henry 450 rifle exterminated South Africa's fabulous fauna. There's precious little chance of being chased up a tree by a rhino 20 miles from Johannesburg, although that happened to me just a motor car ride away from Nairobi 3 years ago. But in Kenya, too, the animals are going. The slaughter began in earnest during the last century, and in the first decade or two of this century, the toll was tremendous. Who were these early giants of the gun? The hunters who were responsible for the last of the game. Hunter himself died at Hunter's Lodge on the Mombasa Road in 1963. Tonight, though, I'm going to tell you of a safari made by the greatest elephant killer of all time, W.D.M. Bell. The first man to take a high-powered rifle to East Africa. Bell's Karamoja Safari. Bell not only killed elephants, he knew them. And I suppose in a strange way he loved them too. He became a legend in his lifetime, a first-comer who went to the Africa of the late 1890s after ivory and the immeasurable prizes that were the reward of the ivory hunter. Karamoja Safari was his fourth trip, and the vast territories still lay unopened and uncharted. The natives lived much as their ancestors had lived in prehistory, and the game roamed the plains and forests in great numbers.
So, we begin at last.
We begin at last, Mr. Blaine.
There was a time when I almost despaired. I said to myself one night, it's not true. We'll stay here in Mombasa forever.
The fitting out of a safari takes a lot of time, a lot of careful preparation. Money, coin or note money, won't buy anything. A millionaire might starve for want of a cupful of flour.
That's where all those beads come in.
Beads, yes. And brass, iron wire, chains, donkeys to carry it all, porters, rations, water. It's taken a long time. I hope it'll all be worth the wait.
I told Evans I was going with you. He didn't think you'd stand the sight of a white face for as long as a year.
Evans doesn't know me. Johnny.
Dear Warder.
Come here. This is the only man I allow to approach the elephant with me. The Karamoja is his country.
Buona.
Is Suleimani sober?
Yes, Buona, for today. Tomorrow I do not know.
Sorry.
Suleimani! We are for busy. Why not, Seva?
Big chap, huh? Best man I've ever found. He has savvy equal to most whites. He never bothers me, never chatters in the bush. He's always there when I want him. I enjoy his company. He marks where each elephant falls and brings the ivory-cutting gang straight to the spot. He tracks like a bloodhound.
Bell, I feel inadequate.
Oh, nonsense. I think we'll turn in now. Lord knows what time we'll get off tomorrow, but if it's early, we'd better be prepared for it.
Blaine endured more hardships and excitements that night in sleep than ever he was to endure on safari. He felt inadequate. He had admitted as much to his host. He was by reputation a fine shot. But like the chess master who has never won a game, Blaine's reputation was the result of gamesmanship more than anything else. He had never killed an animal, although his shattered clay pigeons were nearly as many as Bell's dead elephants. Blaine did not sleep well that night at Mombasa. He was bitten many times by mosquitoes, and the murmur of the surf disturbed him. He was eaten by sharks 1,000,000 times in his dreams, and at the moment of escape, the fish turned into an elephant, which trampled him to dust. The hot, bold colours of the Arab town, a drink or two at the hotel, and Blaine felt better. Elephants were a lot larger than clay pigeons, though. And so the safari began. "10 to 15 miles a day, through Kakamega, passing Mount Elgon, where the cave dwellers, the survivors of the tribe that once inhabited the Uasin Gishu Plateau, live. Elephant were 3 or 4 days away, the cave dwellers said, but at 8,000 feet, Bell saw no elephant. The party was a day's trek from the Turkwell River, when Bell saw the first elephant.
It's too late to go back for Pajali.
He's a big one.
Not bad. Standing stern on now. Now come with me, but don't speak from now on. 2 of them. Can't do anything from this position. And heart shot out of the question. Fair amount of ear, but I can't find the ear root.
What the? I got him, I think. He's alive.
So would you be shot in the nose. Let's go. You owe me an explanation, I think, but it can wait until we make camp. I listen better with a drink. And did Evans believe you were a second Buffalo Bill?
He had a letter from Harvey.
No, thanks, Pajali.
Zurigwan.
So, the mountain lion, the cougar, I think you call it, the buffalo?
They didn't exist.
I see.
I'm sorry.
Blaine, I don't have to tell you that we might both have died out there this afternoon. You don't blunder up to an elephant and shoot it in the trunk many times.
I realize that.
Only needed that one shot to tell me you'd tried nothing bigger than a rabbit in your life. Well, I can't take you back now. When we get to Karamoja...
Couldn't I still come along if I shoot nothing?
You've got a nerve, Blaine. All right. We'll eat buck for the pot. That's your job from now on. They're faster than pigeons. Show me that you deserved all those prizes at Harvard.
They pushed on, across the Turkwell River and into the Karamoja. The elephant hunter's ivory mounted. Blaine was penitent for a while, but Bell seemed to forget. The American shot well enough for the pot, but longed to kill something bigger. His chance came in a most unexpected manner.
Oh, what a liver it gives you. Sleeping in daylight after a heavy meal of meat. It's getting dark, Blaine. I thought I'd go down to the waterhole and see if anything interesting comes to the carcasses.
Have the boys taken the tusks from them?
Yes, we're doing well. 2 of them weighed over 100 pounds.
1. 2 more donkeys die.
How?
Break leg.
Brings us down to 170. We've lost about 10. You better shoot some more topi and eland tomorrow, Blaine. We'll sew today's tusks into the skin. I want the stuff to have a good chance of shrinking before the rains come. Let's go.
Think we may find a line down there at the water hole?
Yeah, if there's one around, feeling too lazy to kill for itself.
You always wrap up the tusks and skins?
What? Oh, yes. Oh, shh.
An elephant looks kind of wrong without tusks.
Our friends have arrived for what the vultures left.
One's making it easier to see. You've brought the 275 along?
Foresight's too small on the 256. Just hold it better. Yes.
What?
There. He's sitting down to it. I can't get a shot in from here.
There's another. Where did he come from?
Striped hyena. Lion doesn't like that, does he?
Hey, there's something else coming. Gee, what's this?
Oh, rhino, perhaps. No, it's an elephant.
Where's the other lion?
Gone. I expect the elephant frightened him. I don't know why, though. They usually have confidence in one another.
W.D.M. Bill was a great hunter, yet he made a mistake this time. The lion, although it couldn't smell the men, was worried. It had moved down to the northern end of the waterhole, crossed a small donga, and was working its way round behind Bill and his companion. As the moon dipped behind a cloud shaped like a waterbuck's head, the lion smelt the men and began to stalk them. The first lion was still at the elephant's carcass.
Wait here. I'm going to move closer. I'll take the lion first and then the elephant.
Okay. The elephant stood motionless on the opposite bank of the waterhole. The lion fed contentedly. The scavengers sat in a safe circle, awaiting their chance. The air was horribly tainted, blood and death. The hyenas had dragged intestines all over the bush, and the ripe offal made Bill a little sick. Blaine was being bitten continuously by mosquitoes. He still held the 256. Bill waited for the moon to appear again. His gun was raised, covering the lion for the brain shot. The moon came out suddenly from behind the cloud, but at that moment, the feeding lion swung sideways at a jackal that had dared to approach too near. Bill waited. Mosquitoes gorged themselves upon him, but he waited. The second lion was a spring away from him, and for some reason he too waited. Blaine saw the second lion and froze. The scene was like some ghastly tragic comedy in which all the actors had forgotten their lines.
Bell, there's a... Bell, I can't miss this. I mustn't miss.
He raised the Gibbs 256, thinking that Bell's larger weapon would be more appropriate. The shape of the lion turned into a tree, and then into Bell himself. At the moment of firing, the Harvard clay pigeon shooter didn't know what he was aiming at.
Blaine!
There was... See, the elephant's gone, but I killed the lion, didn't I? I mean, didn't I?
Yes. Yes, you killed him. That's the best pot shot you've ever made.
If a gypsy ever told me I'd ever spend a night under a slain elephant's ear, I'd have said she was nuts.
Cigarette? Here, I'll roll you one. Oh. Jambo, Piali. Look, there's no room in here for you, too, you know.
1 or 3 boys go, and more want to go, too.
Why, Pajali?
They say tusks of elephant killed today move, smell very bad.
Well, one of them was hollow. It was rotten.
They say magic. The next elephant you shoot will kill you.
Hey, what's this?
Magic. You remember I tried on a viper, too?
Sure, but nothing happened.
It all adds up in their eyes. We're doomed. Pajali, tell them all that tomorrow I'll kill more elephant than ever before. Tell them not to go, and tomorrow we'll have a great feast. Tell them that, Pajali, and say if they do run away, we'll hunt them and kill them, understand?
Dieu bois.
Bill was as good as his word. He shot elephant for 8 hours without a break the next day. Beast after beast fell. Blaine was becoming tired of the ceaseless slaughter, but he noticed that Bell was as excited over the death of the last animal of the day as he was over the first, just after sunrise.
Both those tusks are over 100 pounds. Oh, this day should satisfy them. My magic is the stronger.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, what's the matter? You tired?
No, I'm not tired. I was just wondering how much longer they last.
What, the boys? Oh,
no, the elephants.
What do you mean, last?
How many do you think you've killed in your life?
I don't know.
1,000? 2,000?
I don't know, Blaine. I just don't know. They breed again, don't they? Africa's a big country.
You told me only the other day just how long it takes a cow to give birth. You know, I think we're going too fast.
Come on, the day's over. This is the first time another white man's accompanied me on a safari, Blaine. I don't think it'll happen again, so let's make the most of it. Come on, there's feasting tonight. Wait until you see the natives really dance. You saw nothing at Mombasa. Come on now, Blaine.
It was a great feast. The natives believed Bell's magic was stronger than the magic of the long-dead witch doctors who foretold death for the man who cut the hollow tooth from the old bull. The men and their women who accompanied them on the Karamoja safari made the bush night leap like a million devils as they celebrated Bell's great hall of ivory. Blaine retired early. He did not sleep well.
Why do you sleep badly, Mr. Blaine? Blaine.
Who's there? What's that?
What a slaughter there was today.
Bell? I can't see you. Who are you? You're not Bell. Where have you come from?
Not far. Not far this night. But once I came from a long way away. You saw many elephants today, Mr. Blaine. But when I came to Africa, I could have shown you 100 for every one you saw this day. Vast herds of game, oceans of grassland black with game. You saw the spring flowers beginning to bloom today. When I came to Africa, one could not see the colors of the spring flowers. There were so many animals. They roamed every inch of land, from the Atlantic on one side to the Indian Sea on the other. But not now, Mr. Blaine. They're going. Your children will see little. Their children's children, nothing.
Who are you?
Me, a lover of Africa. You should have seen the game in the southern part of the country. The Highveld, as far as the eye could see. One living mass of springbok, black wildebeest, quagga, blesbok, giraffe, zebra, sable kudu, waterbuck.
I've never been south. Listen.
It would be no use going south now. There's nothing left. Nothing left that isn't within iron walls. Nothing free. On the Berg, I've seen eland and roan antelope. Where the Nelspruit station is today, I've seen black rhino. On both sides of the Crocodile River, there were elephant. But you do not know these places. Here in the East, British East, and German East.
Wait, listen. I don't know about this. Does Bell know you're here?
No. Bell doesn't know I'm here. I cannot talk to Bell.
Well, why not? He'd like to talk with an old-timer like you.
Bell has killed for far too long. It's you I shall talk to. You've killed little enough.
Do you envisage a great future for yourself as a hunter of ivory, Mr. Blaine?
I'm not a hunter.
You're a good shot. You know how to handle a gun.
Well, how do you know?
I know. Don't become a hunter. There are enough hunters already.
Look, I just caught Pike Jala.
Do not shoot the elephant. Bell will give you to shoot on the morrow.
Elephant? Bell won't let me near an elephant, not after all.
I repeat, do not kill the elephant on the morrow, Mr. Blaine. Defend it as you would your soul.
The tracks led them in a westerly direction. Haijali kept up a killing pace. The sun blazed straight in their faces, and Blaine began to wish he was in Mombasa, at Harvard, anywhere. They left the burnt-up country, entered the treeless plains, and then into the country of greener grass. All day, and Blaine wanted so badly to die. The sun was sinking into the horizon haze when Pajali saw the white cowbird circling. They turned a corner of a grassy lane, and Bill was immediately cured of fatigue. In a waterhole stood a mass of bull elephant.
Too many to kill. There won't be left after this, Bellamy. Bell, you've killed every elephant in the blasted world. Bell! Bell, that's enough now. Every elephant in the world.
You want to see, Blaine? Best day ever. Worth it? Quickly, Blaine, come here. And there was one cow. I don't know what she was doing with all those bulls. Take her, quickly.
You mean me?
Yes, quickly, man. She's the only one.
What's the matter with her?
She had a calf, poor cow. It was trampled. Here, take the gun. Shoot her, Blaine.
But she's so upset, Bell. She's...
Blaine!
I'm not going to shoot her.
Where are you going?
I'm not shooting anything ever again.
Give me the other gun, Pajali. So damn dark now. Oh, where's the cow, Pajali?
She go round behind, Bwana. I do not know. She's over there, Bwana. Look! The American, Bwana.
The cow elephant had crossed the waterhole and had climbed the northern bank. It was a repetition of the lion incident earlier in the safari. The first man she'd seen had been Blaine. He wasn't going anywhere in particular. He just walked, the .275 trailing from his clenched fist. He didn't seem to hear the beast trumpet as she bore down upon him. He didn't hear Bell's shot, or the crash as she dropped. The brain shot that saved Blaine's life was accomplished in almost pitch darkness.
Haram will take you back. You want to go to Nairobi, I believe.
First, yes. I have some business there.
Well, there's not much in that collection of tin checks. Then you'll go to Mombasa?
Yeah, I'll take a ship there. I haven't had a chance to thank you for last night.
Oh, forget it. We're quits now.
Quits?
The lion, remember?
Oh, hardly quits. I made a mess of the elephant the first time out.
I don't understand you, Blaine. Well, then I think I'd be wasting my time trying to.
Goodbye, Mr. Bell.
Goodbye, Blaine. Good luck.
Karamoja Bell watched the American for a long time. When he finally disappeared, the hunter turned and walked to his tent. He lay there for the rest of the day, listening to the sounds in the bush around him. Finally, as darkness began to fall, he picked up a pen, pulled paper from the box under his bed, and began to write. He wrote of the Karamoja, of an Africa that has passed forever. An Africa of hot, bold colors and sudden dangers. The Africa he knew and loved. The Africa he was helping to kill.
Join us again next week for another story of the African bushveld. It might be fact, it might be fiction in General Motors on Safari. Brought to you by General Motors South African, manufacturers of Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Chevrolet, Beaumont, Vauxhall, Opel, Holden, Bedford, and GMC motor vehicles.
General Motors on Safari. Here is adventure, excitement, and danger. General Motors and their dealer organization throughout Southern Africa are proud to present another program in their current series, bringing you the African bushveld of today and yesterday in dramatized fact, fiction, and true life documentary. General Motors on Safari.
Grain, Silicaia, 34Y. Huh? Ray. Yeah, for heaven's sake, man, it's 3 o'clock. Oh, what's up? What? Huh? Well, how do you know? Who? When did you... Struth. Sure. Yes, of course. Hmm? No, of course. No, right away, naturally. Oh, 15 minutes. Yes, I know. Right away. I'll be right over. Hmm? No. Oh, coffee will be marvelous. See you. Whew. Now, why the blazes should the silly old fool take it into his great thick nut to move now, after all these years?
Grain liked his sleep. He'd been called Kipper at school in England. Nobody had taken the boy who needed 10 good hours' sleep a night's decision to become a farmer in Africa seriously, but he'd done it. Big, rangy, 36 and unmarried, Clinton Grain was the king farmer for many hundreds of miles. His great love in life, apart from his farm, was elephants. And one elephant in particular. The elephant's name was Dutch, a great tusker who'd enjoyed the protection of the reserve for more years than Grain had lived. When Ray Alsop phoned to say that Dutch had quit its elephant heaven for greener pastures, Grain was awake and even forgot to yawn as the big blue farm truck roared away from Silicaia at 3:10 on an African summer's morning. You see, Dutch was the biggest elephant in the country, probably on the entire continent, perhaps even in the world. Dutch wasn't safe anywhere except in the game reserve. This is the story of Big Dutch's last safari. probably more than a century old when he decided to head into the wild blue yonder and take his great aching tusks into pastures new.
Oh, it's ruddy hot. Of course it is. It's cold. Long time till sunup. Got 2 flasks of the stuff, too. Oh, Bungie, Koala, in the truck. Jump. Koala can't find him? No one can.
Hasn't been seen for nearly a week, Ray. Why the devil didn't the game department tell us before now?
Well, just because the silly old devil didn't show his ugly self for a couple of days, Clint, there was no need for them to panic. Hawtrey waited till the reports from all the scouts came in. Then he phoned me. He's passing the word along the line. Cranthorpe, Briggs, de Villiers, they'll all go out and hunt him. But there's 500 square miles of free country he can trek into. Country where anybody with the word elephant on a hunting license can knock him off. And all the law will be able to do is...
Yes, I know. That's why I'm here. Oh, well, let's go.
There were, to Ray Alsop's knowledge, 9 other hunters and farmers looking for Big Dutch. They'd all had the alert more or less at the same time. The only thing to do was to scour the country north, east, south, and west of the Great Game Park and hope that it was a white man and someone who knew that Dutch was the biggest, most famous elephant alive that found him. If native meat hunters discovered the bull, then Dutch's long life was at an end. Once and for all, the great yellowed ivory would be put down in the dust of Africa for the last time. Traditionally bad grazing and with water only during the long rains that often fail, the Bashwabas generally left pretty well alone by both men and beasts. The thing is, though, that Bashwab is only 11 miles wide, and knowledge of the richer land beyond is in the mind of every creature, great and small, as soon as it leaves its mother's womb. This is primeval knowledge, instinct. Just as a swift knows that it must fly to Africa when an English summer ends, the animals to the south of the Bashwaba know that once through the Bashwaba, they'll find grazing and water, everything that's good, except safety.
Now, who the devil's that? Couldn't be Biggs, could it? Well, what would Biggs be shooting at?
Let's go over there, slowly.
All right, there's nothing to hunt here, not till you get into the foothills.
No. Oh, perhaps someone's just put an end to a legend.
You know, you've got to get it out of your mind that suddenly, the moment it was announced that Dutch was loose, every gun-toting male over 21 on this continent decided to go and shoot him.
All the news broadcasts for 3 or 4 countries around will have carried the report. Just that I don't listen to the news.
Well, they'll be carrying it this morning. About now. We've got a head start on anyone. Same with Biggs and de Villiers and the rest. One of us will find Dutch, you'll see.
That bull's carrying over 300 pounds of ivory. The biggest nearer 170, and that's unheard of, Ray. Impossible in this day and age. Elephants like Dutch don't exist anymore. Okay, so it's not a perfectly matched pair, but you offer that size ivory in Europe, and it'll bring you in a pretty penny. Once the news gets around, they'll be out here like flies. If we find him, one of us has got to follow him. The other's got to go for help, and we've got somehow to get him back.
Switch on the radio, will you?
Huh?
It's gone 9 o'clock. William said he'll post me a safari message at the end of every news bulletin.
Hey, there. It'll pick up. There is someone here.
Well, I've never heard guns fire themselves. Hello? Anyone at home?
No one here. Oh, there's a tent over here. Fire. Remains of one anyway. Well, someone set up shop here.
There's nothing to shoot round here. All right, Koala, hold hard. Stay in the truck.
Well, we wait, or do we push on? Got a lot of ground to cover, Ray. It's getting late.
I'd like to know who's here.
It's a picnic party.
9 o'clock in the morning, this far out. They're darn keen picnickers.
It's a free country, you know. Oh, let's scoot.
Up into the Randa Hills. I'd like to have known who was out here, though.
Good morning. You're just in time for coffee. don't have to wait for men to take them out into the bush anymore. More coffee, Mr. Alsop?
Oh, no, thanks, Miss Mortimer. Thanks, it's good of you. Well, if you're okay, Mr. Grain and me, we've got work to do.
What were you shooting, Miss Mortimer?
Name's Jill. A hare. I'm going to eat it for dinner.
What are you doing out here, Miss Jill? Where are you headed?
Randa Hills.
What for?
Here. Oh, you are curious.
Oh, you missed the safari broadcast.
In case of each elephant shot, one tusk to be retained by the hunter and the other to be handed over to government. No compensation to be paid by government in respect of any injury sustained. And what's this?
What it looks like. My license.
The hunter is given a government license to shoot the number of elephants decided upon on a profit-sharing basis. Signed R.C. Mulala, administrative officer in charge, round the profit.
They want 450 elephants shot. They're losing £1,000 a week in crop damage in Randa alone. I'm allowed 25 elephants. After that, I can apply again. It's a serious problem, Mr. Grain.
Oh, good luck. Jill, if you have any trouble, we'll be in Randa for a while.
I don't anticipate any trouble, Mr. Alsop. Nice meeting you. I thought for a while you were on a government license, too.
No. Let's be off, Clint.
They reckon it was a signal to kill every blasted animal in sight.
Well, they've got to protect their crops, Clint. The government's doing a pretty good job as it's turned out. Only cropping where necessary. I'd heard Randa was hit hard by the jumbos after the rains. Apparently they're back.
You know what we're up against if old Dutch has wandered up into the Randa Hills, don't you? She's only one of dozens of hunters on government licenses. Our old jumbo can be shot at wholesale and there's nothing we can do about it. When there are raiders about, one elephant's the same as the next. I hope to goodness Briggs or the Villiers have found him west. He'd have to have been jet-propelled to get this far anyway.
Why? They haven't seen him in the park for a week. So they say. How do we know it is just a week? He could have left 2 weeks ago. Time doesn't mean much to native scouts. And when an elephant takes it into his nut to move, he moves fast. He's had time to get up into the Randa Hills, join in the crop raiding, and get halfway back again.
Well, I just hope he went west, that's all. I just hope he gets found by one of the others. I just hope that's the message on your safari broadcast at 1 o'clock. And then we can roar back down there and work out some way of getting him back to the park.
The day following, they worked east and questioned several native chiefs and a government agent called Mkwekwe Runga. He informed them that 70 elephants had been shot on government orders, but the scare seemed to be over for the present, and those in authority were thinking of calling in the licenses. He sympathized with their story. Game parks were a good thing, he said, but the people's crops were more important, of course. Heartened somewhat, the two farmers pressed into the western foothills of the Randa. They came across a small group of elephants towards midday. There were about 20 of them.
Oh, we're well covered, Ray. There's nowhere else he can go.
Well, they could have missed him. Laney, for instance. Laney is the best bet, actually. Might have missed him there. You could spend a lifetime looking for an elephant in 100 square miles of country and never find him.
I think he's up here, somewhere. Here. Look.
What?
Now, have you got that outcropping there, you see? Well, go right of that ferny stuff. Just under that kind of fold of the ridge there. No, down a bit. See?
See what?
You're blind. Dung. A great heap of it.
You can't see dung, not even with glasses, not that far away.
Can't I? Well, let's drive over. I'll show you what I can see.
Yes. Pretty fresh, too. Got eyes like an eagle, I'll give you that.
Thanks.
But elephant dung's elephant dung, whether it's in the forest, bush, or up here in the foothills. It's a 1,000,000 to 1 chance that it's anything to do with the particular jumbo we're after.
Yeah, is it? Look closer, Ray. Dutch is a big tusker, right? Big tuskers make big dung, right? Very big tuskers make very big dung, right? And mammoth-sized tuskers make...
Well, it is a ruddy great size, I must say.
Make mammoth-sized dung, chum. You could build a house with that lot. It's a chance in 1,000,000, but we've come to the right place. Some of us had to. It's us.
It's not conclusive. Koala! But we'll follow and see what we find. Elephants don't climb up blinking walls, man. They're not flies.
They go higher than this, Ray. Much higher. Pull, Finger, Koala. Get on the ground and sniff. You're not up here for your holidays.
The tracker looked at Clint and grinned hugely. He found the spoor 10 minutes later. It was fresher this time, and the men began to get excited as they climbed even higher into the foothills. If it was old Dutch, he seemed to be traveling up to the sun. It was late afternoon on their 4th day out from the farm when they saw someone else in the hills. Or rather, not someone. At first, just...
Hey. Someone over there. Using glasses. Here, hand me yours, will you?
Here.
It's that ruddy woman.
She's not earning much government lolly up here.
What's she doing? She was over there, see? Small trees there. Can't see a vehicle. She was just underneath them, the trees, lying down.
Maybe she's bird watching.
That's right. And now I know we're not following a dream. She's bird watching, all right, just like us. She's after a big grey bird with tusks who makes king-size dung.
The shadows were growing long when Grain and Alsop, 600 feet above their motor car now, finally crossed 2 small valleys and caught up with Jill Mortimer.
Why, we're creeping up on her like a couple of... Shh, hold it. Whew. She's ruddy well armed. That's a 5.77 against the tree there. Double barrel. She's not going to miss anything, is she? Makes our pea shooter look silly.
Oh, we came to preserve an elephant, not to kill him.
I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. Evening, Miss Mortimer. You picked the best camping spot, anyway. Coffee?
I didn't see you. I didn't know you were...
You didn't know that we were here. Well, that's because you were too intent on something else. Why are you hiding your glasses, Joe? What's up? What are you watching?
Nothing. Who the devil do you think you are?
Clint, you've no right...
My glasses back.
Clint, what's the matter?
The light's getting bad, but you've just got time before it goes completely. Here, have a look. Right away. No. Way over there. High. Highest he's ever been in his life. He looks like something prehistoric, doesn't he? We found him.
Tomorrow morning. He won't go far, I shouldn't think.
He won't go far, Mr. Alsop. A brain shot, I think. Don't you? Just one. My 5.77's ideal, don't you think?
I think you'd better put your pop gun away now, Jill. We're too old for cowboys and Indians. Besides, hold-ups are against the law.
You've broken the law. This is free hunting country. I have a license. You haven't. The government's very sympathetic towards me. I've friends in high places. At court, so to speak. That's my elephant. I'm going to shoot him.
Elephants belong to everybody, ma'am. Well, that one does anyway. We don't want to shoot him. He's going back to the park. We'll stay. Well, at least I will, while Clint here goes back and makes plans.
I suppose Koala and his mate back there are quite surprised to see a white lady holding their bosses at gunpoint. Must be very confusing for them.
I've never seen ivory like he's carrying, Mr. Grain. I want it. I've the right to take it. I've got 7 left on my original license. That's enough, I think. Crop destroyers.
Oh,
today.
Dutch has never destroyed a mealie in his entire life. He's been indolent in the park for a quarter of a century. He just can't stop growing, that's all.
The law's on my side. I'm in the right. I know I am. An elephant's an elephant. I need the money. With it, I'm going to Europe. If I can get the money first, I'll take the tusks to Europe. They're big. Fetch a lot there.
You know something, Miss Mortimer? You won't go anywhere ever again if you don't put that big gun down. Friend Koala hasn't the control I have. Oh, he's pretty intelligent, but I can't really answer for him. Awkward, really, because he's standing just behind you now. His hunting spear's 2 inches from your neck.
Jill Mortimer looked frightened for just a moment. Her eyes began to travel sideways, and then they swept back fast. She was still for a moment, and she relaxed and smiled.
Sorry, Clint. I first saw that trick when I was a little girl in Egypt. The film was called High Noon, or the Al Jolson story, or...
Nanook of the North.
Or something or other, but it doesn't matter. Only this time, unlike the film, I shan't turn round. And you won't jump all over me. And tomorrow, as
I'd
a
be very
race...
glad to jump all over you, actually, Miss Mortimer, but I'm afraid this isn't a film.
You see, Clint. Clinton. Unusual name. I like it. You see...
And that's all she said. For that moment, anyway. Because the cold steel of Koala, the tracker's hunting spear, touched her neck. Koala grinned. But underneath his grin, he was a little nervous, too. But Jill Mortimer couldn't see his face, so she didn't know anything. Just that something very sharp and dangerous was touching her neck.
So? Now what?
I could shoot you. You've threatened
And if you do shoot at one of us, Koala will kill you. I'd rather he didn't, Jill, because he's a nice boy and he might get hanged, you see. Such a waste. There's so many strong sons he's got to father yet. Stalemate. We're truthful, you know, Jill. We're not here to kill the bull. We like killing a relative, really. We're here to save him.
How do I know that?
Oh, you've got to trust us.
2 full minutes pass. No one moves. And then...
Miss Mortimer, Jill,
But the woman lays her gun slowly aside.
It's all right, Koala. The lady likes us now. You know, you should have warned us you were going to do that. Koala might have lost his nerve and done something horrible.
I'll take this gun. Put it over here. Good.
Yes, Koala might have thought you were going to shoot and stuck that ballpoint pen into your neck. I gave it to him for Christmas, incidentally. He's always wanted one.
What?
Of course, he wouldn't have had much leverage. Would have only been a flesh wound. As they said, I'm sure, lots of times in High Noon.
Luckily, Jill Mortimer had a sense of humor. No one touched a gun until the next morning when they approached old Dutch, who hadn't strayed from his evening haunt. Then, Ray Alsop covered Clinton Grain while he approached the great animal to make sure he wasn't hurt or too fatigued. Old Dutch was perfectly happy, browsing in the Randa Hills. And there, in fact, he is to this day, because although Ray Alsop travelled back and brought half a dozen game experts with him, no one could invent a way of transporting all that weight of tusked age the many miles to his old home. He was too elderly, they all agreed, to risk fooling about with drugged darts, so they left him alone. The only thing they didn't do was to erect a huge fence around him, giving him an area of about 60 square miles to live in. This cost a lot of money, of course, and Clinton Grain had to sell his farm in order to afford it. 60 square miles. 1 elephant. Bit of a wild scheme just for 1 elephant, even if he was a king. So, that's how the Silla Game Park was born. And because one tusker would have been lonely, even if he was a king, a few others, young ones, not kings, were brought to the Randa foothills to keep him company. Buck, too, and buffalo. giraffe, and zebra. Grain was in quite a lot of debt by the time he finished, so Alsop had to sell up and join him, and they built a fine homestead there, charged fancy prices for tourists to come and visit, too. But you blame them? They had to make a living. Of course, Mrs. Grain was a very fine cook, and the Americans and the English and German visitors got their money's worth. And Mrs. Grain... Sorry, of course, I didn't mention her, did I? He tricked her into putting her gun down, tricked her into marrying him, and has been tricking her ever since. They're very much in love, though, at Delacroix, Jill and Clint, all due, of course, to Big Dutch's lost safari. Good night.
General Motors on Safari. This series was brought to you by General Motors South African, manufacturers of Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Chevrolet, Beaumont, Vauxhall, Opel, Holden, Bedford, GMC Motor Vehicles, and Ranger, South Africa's own car.
General Motors on Safari. Here is adventure. Excitement. And danger. Bringing you the African bushveld of today and yesterday in dramatized fact, fiction, and true life documentary. General Motors on Safari.
Tonight, I bring you a story that took place nearly 30 years ago. A story so incredible, yet absolutely true. It tells of 3 men who went, initially, in search of gold. Instead, they were to come into contact with the famed leopard men. Yes? Fact or fiction? I must leave that to you. But, as I've already said, this story actually happened. One that I have called Crossed Sticks. It was towards evening, after a warm day in September, that Peter Campers was sitting on his stoop. He felt tired. The day had been long and hot, and he was glad to rest his aching legs. At the time, he was running a rubber plantation in the heart of Liberia. There were no other white men within 60 miles of him, but visits from strangers were not unusual. Sometimes it was just to visit the plantation while the boats were unloading cargo for the trading posts in Monrovia. The plantation, which was called Mount Barclay, had been going for some 40 years. Originally started by an English company, it had fallen into disrepair, but now once again it had been put to use, and its brave old trees were yielding well from its 1,200 acres. On this particular evening, as Campers sat staring out at the thousands of trees, he heard a car approaching. Visitors, he thought. Well, that would be nice, pleasant company for the evening. As the car drew up outside his bungalow, he went to meet them. Inside were 3 men, dressed in khaki shorts and bush shirts.
Mr. Campers?
Yes, gentlemen, that's me.
I'm very pleased to meet you. My name is De Winter.
How do you do?
This is Mr. Muller.
How do you do?
This is Mr. King.
How do you do, Mr. Nice to know you. Please come and sit down, gentlemen, this way.
Thank you very much.
Now then, can I offer you a drink?
Oh, that would be most welcome. Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
There!
I come, Juana.
This is my head boy, a very good one, too.
What a wonderful name.
Yes, he comes from Bassaland.
Yes, Juana.
Fetch the drink, sir, and drink plenty of ice, huh?
And you, Juana.
You say he comes from Bassaland? Well, that's a bit of luck.
Oh, why?
Well, we've just come from Takuradi. Our company is sending us through to the Bassa country. We're hoping to find gold there. And he'd probably know of a good guide.
That's quite possible. I'll ask him later. When do you intend leaving?
Oh, if he'd like to get away as soon as possible.
Well, you can't go tonight. You must stay with me until we can get you fitted up. Do you want a hunter to go with you? It's dangerous country.
Oh, I don't think that will be necessary. Thank you, Mr. Compass. Muller here is an experienced hunter from the Cameroons, and we're just the technicians. I'm a geologist, and King here is our mining engineer.
But you still need a guide. I'll tell you what, things are running pretty smoothly on the plantation at present. I'll loan Zeze to you. That is, if he'll go.
That's very kind of you. You sure you can spare him?
If you're not going for too long.
Oh, I think it'll take the best part of 6 to 7 weeks.
Why did you say if he'll go, Mr. Compass?
Oh, nothing in particular, but they're funny, these boys. They get used to living in peace and comfort and safety on a place like this, and then they're not so keen to return to the bush. Anyway, I'll call him. Zeze!
Bwana?
I must warn you, gentlemen, that you will be entering dangerous country. Not as far as the natives are concerned. They're quite peace-loving. No, it's the animals, in particular the leopards. Be careful, gentlemen. Very careful.
You call Bwana?
Oh, yes. These Bwana wish to go to your country. They look for gold. Will you guide them there?
To the Bassa land, Bwana?
Yes.
Oh, that country no good, Bwana. Plenty trouble there for Zeze.
But it's your own country. Why should you worry about that?
Bwana, country fine, but plenty juju there.
Well, what's your answer, Zeze? Do you go or don't you?
We'll see you're well paid, Zeze.
Oh, not too well, otherwise he'll expect a raise in pay.
If Bwana says so, me, I go. But I come back to Bwana and Bwana give me job again.
Of course I will. I promise you that.
Oh, what's a country? No good for white man. Bwana get plenty gun and make prayer palaver with his God.
That's all right, Nazeze. You go and prepare chop, all right?
What's the country? Oh, no good to that country. What's the country?
What's the matter with him?
He seems to be scared of something.
I told you they have all sorts of superstitions. I wouldn't worry if I were you. But remember what I said, gentlemen. Watch out for leopards. They're dangerous, and there are many in that part of the country.
A few days later, Compass dropped his 3 companions with Zeze at the end of the road 20 miles from the plantation. After they'd promised to keep him in touch with all the news by native runner, they set off in Indian file. For a fortnight, the little band of men walked on, making camp at night, sometimes in the native villages. They lived on chickens which they bought from the natives and on what game they were able to shoot. But as they progressed further into the backland, these supplies became more and more scarce. We joined them one evening as they sit around their campfire.
That was our last chicken. Tinned food from now on.
Well, I hope you get something. We're going to be hungry otherwise.
Well, there should be some back around here, if the leopard haven't got them all.
What is all this about leopards? They're just another animal, aren't they?
Yeah, but one of the most dangerous you can hunt. They can climb, whereas a lion doesn't usually. You mustn't look for them only on the ground. They can be up in a tree and just drop on you.
Oh, dear. And we're under trees here.
If you're close to a fire, you're quite safe. Throw some more wood on, will you?
All right. Ah, that's better.
These leopards, do they go for you in the daytime?
No, they'll lie up in this heat. But don't go into thick bush or prodding around in the dongas. And don't forget to take your guns with you.
It won't help me much. I can't shoot for toffee.
Well, pull a face at them then.
Muller, that conversation always seems to get around to leopards. I felt once or twice that you haven't told us the whole truth. I heard one of the natives talking about this leopard society. Is there any truth in it?
Well, gentlemen, you're in the heart of the leopard country. I've said nothing so far. There was no point in alarming you. In any case, I knew you'd come, whatever I said.
Leopard society? Oh, but surely there's no truth in that, is there? It's just a lot of tommy rot, native superstition, and so on.
It's unwise to laugh at native superstition, King. Many unexplained things have happened at various times. One of them is the leopard men.
What do you know of these leopard men, Muller?
Much as anybody.
The natives firmly believe they exist, and many times they found the mutilated bodies of their friends, clawed to death. I know for a fact that the witch doctor scares the natives into doing what they want by referring to the leopard men. It's all very mysterious. But if the signs of the leopard men have been spread about, very few natives would risk going against it.
Well, what do they do?
Well, if some native has broken a tribal law or run off with another man's wife, then he must be removed. The victim is usually waylaid somewhere outside the village, maybe on his way to fetch water, and that's the end of it.
But what are they? Half leopard? Half man? I can't believe that, Miller.
And they only work at the dead of night. It says they wear leopard skins and make themselves up with clay. On their hands, they have claws like that of a leopard. And with these claws, they cut and tear their victims. I've seen it, and it's not a pretty sight, I can tell you.
Well, to me, it's plain murder.
Yes, if they are men dressed up.
You believe in these things, don't you?
I don't know. A leopard doesn't normally claw his victim like that. He's a powerful brute. He relies on surprise, and then one quick bound, and it's over. If he's hungry, he'll eat. If not, he'll leave his victim. But he won't claw him.
But can't anything be done about it? I mean, surely somebody must talk or go to the authorities.
The authorities? We've been a fortnight on trek. Have you seen any authority?
No.
Besides, the communities are small here. Any leakage of news and death would follow swiftly. The natives are simple and, well, life is cheap. No questions asked.
Zeze!
What do you want with him?
I'd like to hear his views on this as well.
Be careful, Tevinter. They have to be a little touchy about this sort of thing.
Yes, Buana, you call Zeze?
Zeze, you've now served for a long time with a white man. I want to ask you something.
Do you, Buana?
Do you believe in the leopard man?
Ah, Buana. If other native listen, he make big palaver and go for bush. Buana talk softly, Buana.
Aye, but do you believe in them?
And you, Buana, they in this country. They no come Mount Barkley. They fear my Buana too much. But Buana, plenty bad juju for this place.
Have you ever seen one, Zeze?
Hapana, Buana. But they come from my father's place and make, too much trouble, Buana.
They probably just ordinary leopards.
Buana no sevi. Juju, man?
Never mind, Zeze. Let's forget it. You think we could shoot a leopard tomorrow?
Buana, wait, Bado. Oh, plenty leopard near my father's place.
You mean there aren't any around here?
Buana. Oh, I go tell Buana which place by and by.
We'd like to get some nice skins to take home.
All right, Zeze. For every leopard we shoot, I'll give you 5 shillings.
Oh, thank you, Buana. Zeze find leopard by and by.
What's a terror? Here, quick, my gun. Follow me. Look out, there's a leopard. Get out of the way, I can't see to fire. Confound it, I missed him. That's strange. I don't usually miss.
I didn't even see him. Where was he?
Close under that tree. I just saw a vague shape.
Must. He come quick. One boy. He dead.
What?
There. You see, Buana?
I thought you said there were no leopard here, Zeze.
That's true, Buana. No leopard. This place.
Then what killed him?
I don't know. But as you see, he was clawed to death.
That night, none of them slept easily. A ring of fires was made, into which they all withdrew, and the following morning they made post-haste for Zeze's village, which they reached 2 days later. They were warmly welcomed by Zeze's father, Tata, and after a day's rest, they moved on once again further inland, towards the mountains. One evening, De Winter and King were looking for traces of gold. The preceding days had been long and dreary, days of collecting samples, breaking up rock with their hammers, and up till then they'd been singularly unlucky. Above them, on a great rock, sat Müller, his rifle across his knees, his eyes continually searching, probing the bush that surrounded them. Suddenly, De Winter called to him excitedly.
Come quick! I think we've struck it.
All right, I'm coming.
Is it really something? Here, hold this for me. Yes. Look. Strong gold traces.
All right, come. There's a distinct vein running there. It continues for some way along the ground, and then, see, it curves downwards.
Have you boys really found something at last?
It looks promising. Mind you, we've done this before and then found it came to nothing. But I personally think it's a strike.
Well, we better mark the place. It'll be dark before long, and we must make camp.
Then tomorrow we could move camp to here, and I'll get the boys to start drilling. I can't believe it, but I think our luck's changed at last.
Well, there's the camp.
We've made it in nice time. I don't fancy being out after dark, not after what happened the other day.
By the way, what did you make of that, Müller?
You mean the boy being killed? I don't know. It's possible that it could have been a leopard, but most unlikely. In any case, you heard Zeze say that there were none in that area. There's no point in his lying to us.
Here he comes to meet us now. In a bit of an hurry, too, by the look of him.
One. Oh, could you come, one?
What's the matter?
Oh, plenty trouble. Too much for my father. My brother, he finds Juju sign at his place. Juju sign of leopard man.
Leopard man?
What sort of a sign?
It is bad Juju sign. Stick. Across other stick.
What exactly does it mean, Zeze?
Leopard man go chop man or woman for village. My people fear too much. They want white man to come with gun. Oh, please, one. You come quick. Quick, one. Sass him, please, one.
We'll do anything we can to help Zeze. What do you say, Müller?
Of course. But it's no good starting until dawn.
Are you game to come, King?
Well, if you think I'm going to stay here on my own, you're sadly mistaken. Anyway, I'd like to get to the bottom of this leopard society, or whatever it calls itself.
All right, that settles in. We leave first thing in the morning. Zeze, tell the boys.
Indeed, one. Oh, thank you, one. Thank you, one.
Do you think we'll really learn something?
I don't know. No white man's had a chance to do so yet. Perhaps we'll be lucky. But whatever you do, keep your eyes skinned. And if you have to shoot, shoot straight.
The following morning, they left at dawn, and after a quick march, reached the village. They sensed the fear pervading the villagers the instant they arrived, and Müller decided to act that very night.
It will be dark in a few hours, and this is what I intend doing. There's a small stream that runs behind those huts there. About 100 yards into the bush, it forms a small watering hole. If there is an attack, that's where it'll come.
But how can you be sure of that, Müller?
We'll make sure of it with a decoy. I've told Zeze to tether a small goat there. Oh, here he comes now. Is that all right, Zeze?
Indeed, one. The goat, he is there. I fix it.
Good. Now I want two natives, a boy and a girl. When it's dark, they are to walk through the waterhole along the pathway, and not together, but 100 yards apart. You understand?
Oh, indeed, one.
But that's running a big risk, isn't it? Suppose they're attacked.
That's what I'm counting on. There's a high bank over the waterhole. We'll conceal ourselves there, where we can watch the hole from every side. If anything appears, we'll shoot first and ask questions afterwards.
But who are you going to get to act as decoys? I know I wouldn't.
Oh, Zeze, he go find some friends, one.
Pretty good friends.
Very well, Zeze. You fix it all up. We'll get into position well before dark.
Indeed, one.
I suppose you're right, Müller. You know your job, but it seems an awful risk to me.
Look, we'll have 3 guns between us. I'll bring my heavy one. That should be enough in heaven's name. Now, if I was you, I'd get an hour's sleep. You won't get much tonight.
Oh, confound these blasted mosquitoes. Hey, I wish I'd stayed at home.
The natives ought to be coming soon, surely.
I told them to take their time. These attacks usually take place fairly late.
Well, I wish they'd be quick. I'm sitting in a patch of water.
Lower your voices. Otherwise, the next thing you'll know is that we've been attacked ourselves.
Gee, I hadn't thought of that.
You needn't worry. I've got some boys posted above us. They'll warn us if anything comes.
I'm glad to hear it.
Keep quiet. I think I can see something coming.
Yes, you're right. It's a native boy.
Poor devil. I'll bet his heart's thumping.
Do you wonder?
Now, watch the water hole carefully. There he goes. He's getting nearer. Now he's getting his water. Now he's coming back.
I'm glad that's over.
Quiet. There's something on the other side of the trail.
What sort of something?
I don't know. There's too much shadow. I think I saw something move the other side of the waterhole.
Oh, this is giving me the jim-jams.
Have your guns ready, but don't fire unless I tell you to. I'll use my heavy caliber rifle. That'll stop an elephant.
That girl should be here soon.
My hands are shaking so much I can hardly hold my gun.
Oh, then for heaven's sake, put it on the ground. I don't want that thing to go off by mistake. And keep your voices down.
Where easy exactly?
I think under that overhanging rock. He can't leap that far to the pool, so he'll have to show himself when our decoy arrives. There. I'm sure I saw a movement right under that rock.
Can't you take a chance and fire into the shadow? You might kill him.
I might. On the other hand, I might not. And a wounded leopard is a nasty opponent.
Then you're convinced it's a leopard?
I didn't say so. But whatever's there must show itself first. Shh. Quiet. I think I see the girl. Yes. Here she comes.
She's just below us now. Poor little devil. I wonder if she knows what's waiting for her.
She's reached the hole. She's filling her water can.
Merciful heavens. Look, on the far side. That's the biggest man I've ever seen in my life. He's just out of the shadow now. He's watching her.
Oh, please, girl. Turn away. Don't see him.
He's creeping forward very, very slowly.
Well, for pity's sake, fire, man. It'll be too late.
It's all right. He's still too far to jump.
She's straightening up now.
She's seen him. It's all right. You've got him. Come on. Let's get down there quick. All right, my girl. You're safe now.
Here comes Xavier.
Oh, good shot, man. Good shot. Here. Oh. Xavier, take this girl back to the village. I will reward her later.
Dear boy.
Oh, Pierre.
Nimi na tua casa.
I suppose that thing's dead, all right.
Yes, he's dead. Let's have a closer look at him.
He's enormous.
Yeah, the biggest brute I've ever seen, and I've seen a good many. Straight through the head. I didn't miss this time.
What are you going to do with him?
Keep the skin. It'll make a nice little memento of our trip. I'll get the boys to carry him into the village, and we'll skin him out in the morning.
Well, so much for your famous leopard men.
Yes, possibly. That's funny.
What?
Here. Come here, both of you.
What have you found?
You remember the signs that Zeke said they found leading to the village?
Yes, 2 cross sticks.
Look by the leopard's head now.
But it can't be possible. How could it be?
What is it you've seen? Why, 2 cross sticks.
Yes, and not fallen there by chance. They've been fashioned by the hand of man.
The following day, the 3 men and their native bearers left for Mount Barclay. Somehow, they'd lost the taste for gold. A fortnight later, they reached the plantation where Peter Campos met them. They gave him the skin in return for all he'd done for them, and the following day they left for Monrovia. That was the last Campos was ever to see of them. Oh yes, I nearly forgot to tell you. He had the skin made up into a rug for his sitting room, where it graced the floor for many years. Eventually, it was lost in a fire, but
Campers didn't really mind. You see, on more than one occasion, when he came into his sitting room in the morning, he found its two front legs, one upon the other, in the shape of a cross. Odd, wasn't it?
Join us again next week for another story of the African bushveld. It might be fact, it might be fiction in General Motors on Safari. Brought to you by General Motors South African, manufacturers of Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, Chevrolet, Beaumont, Vauxhall, Opel, Holden, Bedford, and GMC motor vehicles.